After leaks hit the internet about this system, Capcom has officially revealed their newest console, the Capcom Retro Station, and surprise, surprise, it's, well, an absolute cash grab. And a new upcoming Nintendo Switch game is causing a huge controversy online, and we're going to talk about it and essentially what's going on with this situation. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So mini consoles and the like over the past few years have been, well, very popular items. Of course, it started out with the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, a great way to revisit a bunch of retro style games in an easy plug and play method. And of course, since then, more companies have been doing things like this. You had the Sega Genesis Mini, which I thought was an awesome system, the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, which I thought was a really cool system as well. And even arcade style things have started to enter the marketplace. You had the Neo Geo arcade machine that came out a few years ago. Of course, the Sega Astro City Mini just released in Japan not too long ago. I ended up picking up one of these and I really enjoy it. I think they're cool little systems that are very fun and do have a place on the marketplace. But to say that there hasn't been, an oversaturation of these things, I think would be a bit of an understatement. Capcom has, of course, dipped their toes into this marketplace as well with things like the Capcom arcade stick that they released about a year or so ago. And, I didn't really see the super appeal of this thing to me. You would plug it up to your television. It looked kind of gaudy and goofy looking. I didn't like how it was like very clear and white and stuff. And obviously your hands would get dirty with this. But now Capcom is entering the marketplace with the Capcom Retro Station, which is sort of like the Sega Astro City Mini and the little Neo Geo systems that we've gotten, but it's a bit different. Now, looking at this system, one of the main draws to the system is the fact that this has an 8-inch screen on it, whereas most of the other systems is about half the size of that. So this is going to be a bit of a bigger item when it comes to these little at-home things that you just put on a desktop and play. It has 2 speakers, of course. You can output to TV via HDMI, additional controller support via USB. That's all fine and well. And obviously Capcom has a great lineage of games that they could put on this. But that's where the problems sort of come into play with this system when you start talking about the games that are on this system, because there's only 10 games on here. Looking over the games library, you get the following: Mega Man The Power Battle, Mega Man 2 The Power Fighters, Mega Man Soccer, Mega Man X, Mega Man and Bass Japanese console version, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. Now, looking at the library of games, obviously this is designed with primarily Mega Man and Street Fighter fans in mind. Obviously, looking at the system itself, it looks like Mega Man as far as the design of the system is concerned. But to only have 10 games on it definitely seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. But maybe it's a cheap system. Maybe it's something that's not going to cost you a lot of money, $50, $60, maybe $70. So that really taps into the nostalgia and makes it an impulse buy. But it's not. And that's another problem with this system. The Retro Station is supposedly coming out in Japan only as of right now in March of 2021, and the price is roughly translated to $210 US. $210 for 10 games that you've probably played before. $210 for something that's supposed to be like an impulse buy. This is just really weird to me, because it's like, is it a premium system? Like, if it's a premium system, I would think you would have more games on it. Now, I'm sure many people will be like, well, RGT, it does have an 8-inch screen on it. Obviously, it's going to have a decent build quality, but it could have a 55-inch screen built into it. But the fact that there's not games to play on it sort of negates the whole thing. I feel like Capcom is essentially missing the mark with this. Yes, you could do things like a premium system that have a few games on them, but if the games are sort of rare games and games that you haven't played before, like, that's cool. When you look at the Sega Astro City Mini, it's something like Virtua Fighter, the original arcade version. That's something that a lot of people don't have access to play in an easy manner. Something like Arabian Nights, that's a game that a lot of people never played in the first place, and of course was stuck in arcades. On the other side of the coin, you have things like the Neo Geo system, where, yeah, you've probably played these games before, but there's a great variety of games to choose from on this system, so you're getting a great value when it comes to this. This has games on it that everyone has pretty much played. Like, have you played Street Fighter 2? Have you played Street Fighter 2 Turbo? Street Fighter 2, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo? Like, yes, everyone's played these games before. So you're charging a premium price for a system that has games that everyone has played before, and it's like you're completely missing the mark. The cool thing about these systems to me is the ease of use with them. The fact that you can play a bunch of games on it that you haven't played before at a cheap entry price point. And if you want to charge a lot of money for them, you should have a lot of games for it. So the Capcom Retro Station, to me, seems like an absolute cash grab. I'm not quite sure how popular this will be in Japan. Like, I imported the Sega Astro City Mini and I really enjoyed it, but it was also like roughly half the price of this, and I got a great variety of games. With this, it's just really missing the mark on me. But maybe you're interested in this console. If you are interested, you know, that's cool, man. That's your prerogative. But let me know in the comments section down below what you think of the Capcom Retro Station. And finally, a few days ago on the channel, we of course talked about the upcoming Nintendo Switch games for the month of January in a video. If you missed that video, make sure you guys go check that out. And one of the games we talked about was a game called Sense, a Cyberpunk Ghost Story. Now, we pretty much just talked about this game in passing. It's a 2.5D sort of action-adventure game in which, you know, it takes place within a cyberpunk universe. They say that there's inspirations of games like Clock Tower and Fatal Frame. I thought it looked kind of interesting, you know, maybe not something that's really my sort of speed. I like sort of faster paced games, but maybe something I would check out eventually on the Nintendo Switch's eShop. Well, recently there's been a huge uproar about this game, and at first I thought, okay, this is sort of just a manufactured uproar. There's really no sort of sensibility that people are this outraged about this game. It's obviously somewhat of a dark game. It's a gritty game. There's boobs in it. There's violence in it. Like, okay, you know, is that a big deal? We're in the year 2021 now. That's sort of just commonplace for a lot of games, but there has been such a large uproar about this game that the publisher of the game actually took to Twitter to make a statement. Now, I'll have the statement up on the screen right now, but basically to summarize, they said that we're getting a large amount of messages and demands aimed towards the game's console platform release based on lies, basically saying that the game has a lot of, you know, sort of adult situations in it and adult themes in it, and they're sort of surprised by this. They're getting death threats by this game. You know, people are saying that it's referring to a future of hyper commercialized, over commodity imagery, which of course is sort of a part of a cyberpunk universe. People are saying that the game has broken laws and things like that. It's a very long statement. They ended their statement by saying the game will not be censored. We categorically refuse. And then they put up a follow-up tweet that sort of answered my questions about this. Was there really a lot of outrage about this game? And surprisingly, there was. Like, there's images of people, you know, threatening the company and saying the game needs to be censored, death threats about this game. And I'm like, holy shit, what is going on here? The people that are doing this sort of stuff must not be, you know, older people. They must not have been, you know, video game veterans or care about the video game medium whatsoever, because this is a war that we had to fight back in the 90s against the government. When it comes to games like Night Trap and of course Mortal Kombat, the government was trying to censor these games and of course take these games off the marketplace. The government doesn't have to do anything now because we have these people that just sit on the internet and look for games to get outraged about, and then they want to do it. They want to have their voice be heard, and they want to be the ones to censor this game and decide what video games can come out on the marketplace. It is absolutely ridiculous. Look, a game that hypersexualizes, you know, boobs and stuff like that, it's not really a game for me, especially when it's like anime style boobs. Like, I like real boobs, you know, I like boobs in real life, but there are people out there that like this sort of game. They like this sort of visual art style, so they're going to be drawn to this. Obviously, cyberpunk style games are very popular with Cyberpunk 2077 right now, so we don't even need the government anymore to tell us, you know, big brother stuff and to control what we have. We have these people that just sit around online and have nothing better to do than complain about a game that they probably had zero interest in the first place, and then, you know, try to take this game off the marketplace. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. Not every video game is going to be designed with you in mind. You need to drop this ego that everything needs to be specifically for you. There are tons of games out there that I have zero interest in because they don't appeal to me, but I'm not sitting there saying, well, I don't like this story, I don't like this visual style, this game needs to be taken off of the marketplace. As long as no laws are being violated and it's like, you know, a 10-year-old kid with big boobs or something like that, like, who cares? You know, this is an artist's interpretation of a game. This is a story that somebody wants to tell. Who are you to censor that story because it doesn't fall in line with your value system or anything like that? This is the equivalent of me buying every Games for Impact game that the Game Awards talks about every year and then getting upset about it, that I don't like the gameplay and I don't like the story, and then sending mean emails to the developers and things like this. This would be like the Capcom Retro Station that I just talked about. Me sending an email to Capcom like, this thing sucks, die, don't release it. Like, people, we need to calm down, okay? We need to calm down, and we need to realize something. In life, not everything is for you. Okay, not everything is designed with you in mind. I'm 35 years old. I've sort of grown to understand this, that not everything is going to appeal to me. All because something doesn't appeal to me doesn't mean that you can't talk about it in sort of a negative stance, but you have to have limits. You have to be a reasonable individual. And if you're one of these people sending a developer death threats because you don't like the fact that there's big boobs in a video game coming out on the Nintendo Switch, you are not a reasonable individual. You need to sort of, analyze your life and realize that there are some shortcomings and work on those shortcomings. This is absolutely ridiculous that we no longer have to worry about the government censoring our games. You have to worry about some random asshat on Twitter saying something negative about the game and hoping they get a bunch of relikes, retweets and likes on their tweet. Like, ridiculous. Stop it. Stop it. Not everything is designed with you in mind. If you don't like boobs and violence in video games, play another game. There's a lot of choices out there. That is the beauty of video games. There's something for everyone. And if this game is not for you, that's fine. Just move on with your life. Woo! All right, so that is what's going on in the world of video game news. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the Capcom Retro Station. Do you enjoy this thing? Do you think it's going to be cool, or are you sort of like me? Like, the fact that I'm a retro collector and I love, things like this, the Neo Geo system and the Sega Astro City mini system, and the fact that I collect things like this and I have zero interest in this thing should be very foretelling about this system. And since a Cyberpunk Ghost Story, is this too much boobage for you? And are you going to send a mean tweet and a death threat to the publisher of it because, I don't know, you're just an unstable individual? Let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.